found a little bag full of jewelry, like an emerald, diamond ring, and pearls and diamond rings. Well, I just turned it. I got it on camera. I turned it over to sanitation at the Cape, and it must have been at least $5,000 to $10,000 worth of jewelry. So there's a lot of valuable stuff over there. There's private property, people, personal property.
So what we're looking at right now is a table full of the books that were destroyed for the most part.
Tim, right? Tim Pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, my guys talk to you, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, Muir.
Do you want to, I guess, I hate to talk about it without confirmation, but you want to tell us what you were just telling us about the
Sure. Okay, from what I've heard, there was a litter of puppies in a tent with the mother dog, and they were zipped up in a tent. And what happened, I mean, this is just hearsay, but it's all over OWS. People are talking about that the police took a lot of tents and didn't open them. They just picked them up and threw them entire into the back of garbage trucks, which were then, when the hopper was full, was compressed hydraulically, you know. So that's why everything got crushed, you know, and these books are crushed, and bicycles got crushed, everything got crushed. And what I've heard is that litter of puppies and the mother dog got crushed up in the back of a garbage truck. And we've been up there, I've been up there 4 days now, and I was up there all day yesterday going through stuff and salvaging sleeping bags, tents, sleeping pads, and tarps. And I got deputized by the city of New York, me and Jeff Brewer, and I was in contact with the two legal focus groups of OWS, and they were negotiating with the mayor's office, and we took away a truckload of stuff and took it over to the warehouse SI on Broadway, right below Liberty Plaza Park. Anyway, those dogs have disappeared, and we suspect they were killed in the back of in a tent in the back of the garbage truck that night, and there's no sign of them up there. There's no smell of dead animal, you know. So we think a lot of stuff was not taken to the 3rd floor of the sanitation department. They said they had 28 trucks, but I don't think they had 28 trucks of stuff. I think about 10 trucks got diverted. And I know for a fact, I got friends living with me right now on the floor of my living room. They're missing suitcases that are unique and big, and they never made it up there. We would have seen it. And we were there the first day it was open to the public, and there was nothing there of my friends, okay? No suitcases with their name on, like Lauren from sanitation was staying in my apartment. Her suitcase, which was unique and big, is missing. So we think a whole bunch of trucks got diverted, including all of the kitchen stuff. All the kitchen stuff, supplies. A lot of library books are unaccounted for. You know, we have not recovered 4,000, 5,000 library books. No way. So we think a lot of trucks went straight to the barge. That's what we believe. And we think the dogs were in one of those trucks.
So yes, I'm being asked about the raid. It was a surprise raid. There was no notice. Yeah.
It was in the paper.
They just showed up early in the morning.
It was either New York Post or
Raids are not usually announced. It's why they're called raids.
No, I wasn't.
Commenting on what even Inner Youth said.
28 trucks.
So now just a few more minutes until the press conference. We got
Well, that's my opinion.
cameras here. There we go. So it's a small room. We're at Madison Avenue, 260 Madison on the 20th floor. Let me look out the window for it, everybody.
You gonna drive at that time? How far is that? 6 hours. You don't have any traffic.
Yeah, we're gonna be. I hope it'll be like.
We are up top. There's a large table covered with books, most of them destroyed, some of them just damaged. This one is dirty and damaged. A lot of them are smashed and ripped. So I want to start this a little bit early. We began, time is just about 11:55, so in about 5 minutes, the press conference will begin.
Sign-in sheet for members of the media.
Hey, you got that on video? Do you have it on video, the police discussing throwing people in the back of the bus?
You're gonna shoot the
So should I sign the sign-in sheet for media?
Very violent.
Yeah, I'm just
Really shocked. I believe my drummer, Elijah Moses, got beat up on the 17th, right in that street.
People's media.
It's all over the internet. You go to
relax.
Excuse me. Whatever.
November.
If it comes to me, it comes to me.
It's gone viral. There's like 30,000 hits on that arrest. It's like the arrest. And he's the main drummer, and he was targeted. And we never got our drum back. We got video on that website I'm going to give you of them walking off with the drum, a lady cop, and we never got that drum back. Okay. Yeah, it's called Arrests. It's YouTube. Arrests at
Your live stream address.
The other 99.tv.
Okay.
Yeah, is that my
No, we were actually never on live stream.
Ustream, I'm sorry. So the other 99.tv.
Yeah, we'll redirect to Ustream. Had to make it easier for everyone.
I think I've been seeing on livestream.com all this time.
Yeah.
All the people with you that follow you
Show up.
show up. And I have
Yeah, everyone, just so you know where we are, we're at 260 Madison on the 20th floor. You have to bring an ID and you sign in.
I bring my kid up out of me. I make my coffee too.
So this press conference is on November 23rd, 2011 at 12 noon. Just so people don't show up later thinking this is live when it's not.
Straight the flag
It's Elijah Moses.
Oh yeah.
It's on the internet right there. You can see it? It's going viral. It's like 30,000 hits on it. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, I need to get those videos that you shot of them taking drums because we're missing our drums. Let me give you my card. Hold on. Let me give you my card because we want to get our drums back.
So the URL is theother99.tv. It's that simple. And we're just getting ready right now for the press conference to begin. About a minute and a half.
And there's actually staying in my house right now because of the noise. We got to get our drums.
You know who's speaking?
I do.
You're very simple.
I'm not. I don't even.
What's that? Yeah, that's fine. No, my name's Nick. I'm doing great work.
What?
Phil's voice.
Oh, nice to meet you.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry, I'll let you know when.
Yeah, no, of course.
Or you can. No, I was gonna wait for you to
Cool.
figure out who the speakers were. We have about a minute until it begins.
So, Gideon Oliver, he's one of the guys who's repping them for the NLG. Also, Hawa Allen, who's a fellow at Columbia Law School, and Occupy Wall Street librarians.
Cool.
That's the press.
I'll get it back to you.
You mind if I use it?
Yeah. Right.
So those police were actually joking about throwing people in tents in the back of dumpsters? Yes? And you over
He told his friend, he's talking to the cop, two cops next to him.
Yeah.
And he was an officer, he said,
What officer?
I don't know if the white shirt spectator sport.
to be honest with you,
Yeah, I saw him like, oh, that thing
I
is
understand one
Where
stop
were
for
you?
too long.
Where were you?
Okay. Oh, look. For you. Okay, right.
And I was just gonna walk. So anyways, I'm walking by the
In the back of the dumpster. In the truck. And then they compressed it.
So we're going to hear a few people speak. Some Occupy Wall Street librarians.
Yeah. But what if they did get compressed? What if somebody died?
Jackson?
I
Jackson?
mean,
You've only been there in the summer, right? You never skied that. What?
They've all dispersed. There's
Oh,
no
you
head
haven't?
count. There was never any list of people staying at the farm. So if anybody's missing, we don't even know. There was never a list of people. Who knows? I found that jewelry. I don't know. Nobody's really reporting on anything. You know? Somebody says there's a lot of cash missing in the back or something.
So again, for those of you who are joining in right now, this is a press conference at 260 Madison on the 20th floor. This is to address the destruction of the Occupy Wall Street Library by the NYPD. And what you're seeing right now is a large collection of destroyed and damaged books.
They shut it down an hour early. And they arrested some guy.
So we're a little bit late, I think.
Like, it looks like, but it's like you just made it. But it looks like the real one. Oh, man.
But I'm like, seriously, I'm for the press. I'm not gonna be here.
Yes, Black Dog said that the NYPD did not destroy the library to attack books. They were cleaning the park indiscriminately. And there's a bit of a... We'll hear what the Occupy Wall Street Library has to say about the actions taken.
Appreciate everybody coming in.
This one I
A little packed, but I'm sure there are titles of these books that you gotta see. That way, that way. No, right? That way. No, right.
Well, what's the
Camera. Folks to your immediate left, right.
You know how much
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was.
I'm gonna put on tungsten. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, let me see it. Flip it on. Yeah, that's good.
More or less?
Put more.
More?
Yeah, just right there. That's perfect. Right there. Thank you very much.
Alright, so we're just waiting now for those of you who are coming in. This is a press conference to address the destruction of books from the Occupy Wall Street Library. We're here at 260 Madison Street on the 20th floor. We've got a lot of media here. I see NY1 and WNYC clearly. It's hard to tell who is with whom. You can barely make out what's on their NYPD press badges. There's two OWS librarians. And I think we're still waiting for one of the other live streaming teams from Occupy Wall Street to get here. That's what I heard. So the other 99 is here, broadcasting live. We're also the only ones broadcasting live. I'm actually standing up on a platform.
How are you?
One last call. Anybody else on it?
Alright, now it's getting crowded in here.
I'd do the same. I'm not sure, I'll just let it start.
Good afternoon. My name is Norman Siegel. I want to welcome you all here this afternoon. Thank you for coming. And of course, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. First preliminary stuff, I have a statement from the American Library Association. So I place over here to take each of these on. Last Tuesday, November the 15th, in the dead of night, approximately 1 a.m., while most New Yorkers were asleep in their beds, and the media could be presumed active, the Bloomberg administration moved as if they were dealing with a life-threatening emergency to remove Occupy Wall Street protesters and retake Zuccotti Park. Notice was given to members of OWS who were in the park that they had to vacate the park with their possessions or face arrest and the confiscation of their property. At the end of the day, approximately 220 people were arrested, and property that reportedly filled up 26 sanitation trucks were carted away. Today, we are here to question the appropriateness and legality of the confiscation of approximately 4,000 books. As you will hear, only approximately 32% of the books have been recovered. That's 1,275 out of the approximately 4,000. And approximately 1/3, 128 of those recovered, are no longer usable, destroyed. 21%, 261 of those returned are damaged, but believed to be usable. And shockingly, 68%, 2,725, have not been returned. Of the 4,000 books confiscated, only 839, 21% are usable. Or put it another way, approximately 79% of the books, 3,161, they're gone. And to make matters worse, there is a rebuttable presumption that 68% of the books, 2,725, were destroyed. History informs us that when books are burned, there is almost immediately or subsequent to the act universal condemnation of such a horrendous act. Well, here the Bloomberg administration did not burn the books. Instead, it appears they damaged, lost, and possibly destroyed books. That is simply wrong. And the mayor of this great city needs to inform the citizenry about what exactly happened. A well-informed citizenry is an essential ingredient to a healthy democracy. The books in the People's Library at Zuccotti Park were indeed impressive. The catalog the library working group put together, over 5,000 books. I went through this catalog last night, and it is an eclectic mix. All types of subjects and a large variety of authors. Just a sampling: Shakespeare's Macbeth, Othello, and Romeo and Juliet. Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man, Mike Lewis's The Big Short, C. Wright Mills' The Power Elite, George Orwell's 1984, and J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Also, pleasantly surprised, I found the autobiography of Andrew Carnegie and The Gospel of Wealth, Milton Friedman's Capitalism and Freedom, and even Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged was there. But the surprise, at least for me, was Michael Bloomberg's Bloomberg by Bloomberg. I too chuckled when I saw that. Mr. Mayor, it's possible they destroyed your book. I'm sure you'd be upset by that if that was true. You see before you on this table the condition of some of the books that were returned. Damaged, not usable. Not a pretty sight. The Bloomberg administration needs to replace every single book that's missing or damaged, that's not usable. Together about 3,161 books. These folks here are here today. They've cataloged every book, so they have the titles and the authors. So replacement is doable. The Bloomberg administration needs to acknowledge that a wrong was committed and that this can never happen again in this great city. And these folks need a space to recreate the People's Library. Our other speakers will elaborate and add to these points that I just mentioned. Our first speaker Hala Alam, who's a fellow at Columbia Law School.
Good afternoon. I've been volunteering my services of late to help document the confiscation.
Please speak up.
I've been volunteering my services of late to help document the confiscation and destruction of books that once constituted the People's Library. I felt compelled to offer my services not merely because of a love of books and reading, but also because of what the People's Library represents. In my view, the Occupy movement is not, as it is often portrayed, an expression of obstinacy and frustration without clear focus. My impression upon visiting Liberty Park over the last couple of months has been that the Occupy movement was an attempt to forge a much longed for and sorely missing sense of community and civic engagement, and to create a safe and lively space for reimagining how we relate to each other and to the world. The Occupy movement, in my view, has been trying to clear out a zone for candid, direct, and thoughtful communication about the state of our governance and economy among people who would not otherwise be in dialogue with one another. In other words, it is attempting to erect a town hall for the 21st century. Of course, candid, direct, and thoughtful communication is what one looks for when she picks up a book to read. A precious opportunity to drop pretenses and reconnect with one's core values, whether through the medium of a philosophical treatise, narrative journalism, or a novel. The People's Library not only facilitates this expression through the collection and distribution of donor-provided books, but also symbolizes the town hall spirit. In the park, the library was a bedrock for those interested in exchanging ideas and informing themselves to deepen that exchange. Therefore, as a writer, a reader, and a citizen, I was compelled to offer my help to the People's Library and the dedicated volunteer librarians who have worked hard to establish and maintain it. There are some things about the Occupy movement that are in dispute, but what should not be in dispute is whether books should be defaced, defiled, and essentially, as is evident on the table here, trashed. And again, as a citizen, the display on the table is symbolic in the most chilling of visuals of an attempt to crush the freedom of expression. Thankfully, books are not people and the conversation will continue. But I urge the mayor's office to take the requisite action to show residents of New York and the world that he has respect for the free flow of ideas and the passing on of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now.
Hawa Allen. Hawallan.
We're now going to have people from OWS. Each of the speakers will go for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we will have formal questioning. And then after the formal questioning, if you so desire, we will hang around for informal one-on-ones in this room and outside. So our first speaker is actually a team, which is Betsy Fagan and Michelle Harpstein.
As soon as Occupy Wall Street began on September 17th, the library emerged. The people created the People's Library. As the movement grew, the library reflected that growth. Expanding from a small pile of books on a plastic tarp, within 2 months, the library has cataloged more than 5,000 books. I mourn the destruction of love and goodwill that was embodied in the creation and daily life of Liberty Park. What's important isn't just the cost of the books that were destroyed. Their value isn't reflected in their monetary value. The People's Library was built entirely of generosity, of community spirit, of love. The destruction of the library is the destruction of our home, the destruction of the heart of our community.
And on November 15th, the mayor's office posted a photo on Twitter responding to critiques about the destruction of the library and the destruction of the encampment at Zuccotti Park more generally. It included this photo. It said, quote, "Property from Zuccotti, including OWS Library, safely stored at 57th Street Sanitation Garage, can be picked up Wednesday." This attached photo showed a fraction of the books we were looking for. We said around 4,000 books. And then on Wednesday, as instructed, when Betsy and I and a few other librarians went to the sanitation garage and waited for an hour to be let in at 9, on Wednesday the 16th, all that was there when we originally got there in terms of books was what was in this photo. A few more boxes and individual books came out while we were there. They were pulled from the unsorted trash pile, as we were told, at the back of the building. We were told because we weren't allowed to go back there. None of the reference collection in that initial batch was there, which included many books signed and personally donated by authors. On Wednesday, then, on Friday rather, we had to go back. We'd only recovered a fraction of our books, and there were several more boxes there when we arrived on Friday. But these were in terrible shape, shapes I never thought a book could take. We asked an officer if more books were coming out, but he told us that that trash pile was gone, that the back room was empty. The books had not been, quote, safely stored, as the Twitter post said. It was clear from what we saw at sanitation that our books were treated as trash, and these were not just, and when I say our books, these were the community's books, these were donated books, part of this movement. This is a people's engagement with this movement, that they were treated as trash, and many were gone forever.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniel Norton.
As was said, my name is Daniel Norton. I'm a student of library science proper at the University of Maine at Augusta. I had no political investment in the movement when I first came down to get involved. The Library Journal, which is a publication of the American Library Association, covered that a library had sprung up in Zuccotti Park. I saw that there was a way that I could get involved and perhaps engage with my academia and go down there. I went down to the park and was surprised at what was taking place. There was an unbelievable amount of sentiment being offered to the conversation. The library was affording people who didn't have the ability to just go down and occupy the ability to take part in the conversation, to really offer something to what was going on. There was people coming down and writing messages in the cover of every single one of these books and giving them to us, along with a story, and stating how personal the experience of reading the books were, how personal the experience of them coming down and offering this to the rest of us was. I stepped out of a very promising career as a doctoral candidate in pharmacy for library science, and everyone thought that I was crazy because they were insisting that libraries were a dying breed, that I wasn't going to find work, that I was foolish for what it was that I was doing. And I see that here in the midst of chaos and what everyone views as being like this movement of anarchy, the people created a library, which speaks so much to the relevance of something. I think that it can't be stressed enough that what was going on here was the creation of a community through conversation and the sharing of ideas. And what happened, what you see sitting right here in front of you, is an affront to me, not only as a student, but as an American. And this is sad. I hope that it impacts everyone the same, to see that this was a crusade to destroy a conversation, to destroy our right to come out here and engage with each other.
The next speaker is Francis Mercanti Anthony.
Hello, my name is Francis Mercanti Anthony. I don't have a prepared statement. I'm just going to speak from the heart. I first came to Liberty Park just before the first Brooklyn Bridge massive arrest. I was immediately drawn to the People's Library because I'm an actress and a writer and I have a great love of words. And the spirit of the movement there was so strong and so beautiful. The idea that information, that knowledge was available free to the people, I think it signified everything that OWS is about. I truly believe that knowledge is power, and the People's Library gives power to the people. To see all these books destroyed, to go to the sanitation facility and to see how heartlessly and callously all of our work, all of the people's work, has been thrown out like so much garbage is heartbreaking. And sorry, and I just I want our books back. I want our space back. I want our movement back. You can take our books, you can take our park, but you can't take our spirit. And we're not going anywhere. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephen Boyer.
My name is Stephen Boyer. I lived in the library full-time for 1.5 months. It happened organically that I lived there. I came to the park as a skeptic, but became so moved by the generous spirit of its inhabitants that I felt compelled to spend one night in the park to see what it was really like to live there, and that turned into me never leaving. I found a new family there. The family was comprised of all the people living there, and everyone in solidarity. People from all over the earth have sent poems to the OWS Poetry Anthology, and they donated books. I lived in the library and worked as a librarian in order to keep the space clean and organized and safe. Intellectuals generously donated books and their time. We had many author talks take place in the library. Our nation's poet laureate, Philip Levine, came in the morning before the raid and donated and signed a copy of his book, What Work Is. And the NYPD and Bloomberg trashed it, as well as all the other books. They have no reverence for the beauty of these objects, nor the beauty inherent in the People's Library. There is a magic that sprung up there, and it's gone.
Two more speakers. Next speaker is William Scott.
My name is William Scott. I'm a professor of English at the University of Pittsburgh, and I'm here on my sabbatical semester. I chose to come and live in Liberty Plaza and work and sleep with the books in the People's Library and build a collection there. I'm an alumnus of the same university that Michael Bloomberg got a degree from, and Michael Bloomberg donated very generously to this university, Johns Hopkins, while I was a student there. I even taught courses in a building named after him, Bloomberg Hall. When this happened, when the eviction happened and they trashed our library, the first thought running through my head was, how could this man throw away so many precious books? The books in the People's Library are here, as others have said, to generate a conversation, to keep a dialogue open, but more importantly, the People's Library embodied all of the values that we're struggling to defend in our society. With libraries closing around the country, with students in college having difficulty paying for books, I myself am deep in debt with student loans, primarily because I had to buy books. I love books. I surround myself with them. I can't even move in my apartment because of all the books that I own. And what was thrown out from the People's Library was a wonderful collection of scholarly materials, of precious, rare materials connected to the occupation. It made my day, working there every day, to introduce people to new authors, to broaden people's horizons, to allow them to learn about what we were fighting for down there, and to uphold the values of the democracy that we live in. With the destruction of the People's Library, the mayor has helped to destroy many of the values that we have been brought up to cherish as the most valuable things that we possess. So we are demanding from the mayor a space for the People's Library, a public and accessible space for the People's Library, and the replacement of all our books, and an acknowledgement that this is wrong, and of taking full responsibility for what has happened here. Bill. And the final speaker is Andy.
Hi, my name is Mandy Pink. I'm a professional librarian. I occupied on 3 different multi-day occasions while Zuccotti Park was still the beautiful thing that we had created. I poured my heart and my soul into this library over the past 2 months. When I wasn't occupying, I was handling our email, I was blogging, I was tweeting. I don't think I've had an hour go by where I didn't do something for this library over the past 2 months. My passion, my calling, is connecting people to books and to information. This movement, the heart of this movement is ideas and literature and art and sharing. The destruction of this library, and it was in every single possible sense a real and a true library. It was a library built by donations. It was a library whose collection embodied both the spirit of the movement and the spirit of the age, the spirit of the time in which we live. The destruction of this library, the destruction of the wide diversity of views and of perspectives, was an attempt to silence and destroy our movement. But we're not going to allow this to happen. We can't allow this to happen. What kind of a people are we if we can't create a public space in which people can come and share books with each other, in which people can come and share ideas with each other? Who are we as a country if we don't have room for that? Who are we if people can't get together and decide that they have a book that they're really excited about and that they want to donate so that others can read it? What kind of a people have we become if we don't have room for that? Our freedom to share ideas and literature and the books that embody these ideas has been stomped on and tossed aside by the Bloomberg administration. We want to recreate our community. We want to recreate the open space that we had for the free sharing of ideas and literature and books, because that is what, at the end of the day, Occupy Wall Street is about. It's about sharing, it's about trading ideas, and it's about letting all voices be heard.
Before we open for questions, I want to point out, if people want to ask specific questions about OWS, Bill Dobbs, who's one of the spokespeople for OWS, is standing over near the door on my left. When we open for questions, as I've had many press conferences, sometimes people from the press compete with each other to try to get the questions. We will entertain all of your questions. What we ask in response is for you to identify yourself, who you are, and with what press entity you're with. If there are people here that are observers and supporters, we ask you to wait before you ask your question until we respect the rights of the people from the press. And I don't mean just the established press, I mean anyone who is a working journalist. Okay, we'll open up if there's any questions.
Two questions. No. My name is Jim Farrell, and I'm from Westview News. Two questions. One is to Mr. Siegel. Is there any precedent where a city or state government has willfully destroyed a library?
We're researching that right now, and I haven't found any case law yet which addresses that issue. But you asked the right question, and we're doing the research to find out whether or not that in and of itself is a violation of the First Amendment. In many cases where the subject matter of a book, i.e. censorship, is in play. But here, there appears to be, other than if one wanted to argue the selective nature of the raid and the destruction was content-based. But assuming that's not the case, I haven't found anything yet with regard to that.
My second question is to any one of the People's Library, the occupiers. Do you have anything to say to either the police officers or the sanitation workers who were ordered to do this by the mayor?
Yes, I would like to say they are the 99%. They are us. We are fighting for their pensions. We are fighting for their children to be able to own a home someday. We are fighting for them. So they should join us.
And I'd also like to say that the AFL-CIO has recently declared OWS the same as a picket, so they can expect support if they choose to not follow through with orders to cross the picket line.
Okay, I saw a hand over there.
Is there anyone here?
Introduce yourself.
David Cruz from the Associated Press. Is
Thank
there
you,
anyone
David.
here who's there on the night of the raid who could describe what attempts, if any, were made to rescue the books or preserve them or keep them from being seized?
Okay, we have one person physically here. What was the question?
I was there when the raid happened, when it was sprung on us in such a quick, crazy way that, you know, I pretty much grabbed the poetry anthologies, which are very one of a kind, and my personal stuff, and I was under the impression that I could get my stuff out of the park and come back in because the police said that we could remove our stuff from the park. And I took my stuff to my friend's house around the corner, and then I tried to get back into the park to get more stuff because I can only carry so much on me, and the police officers wouldn't let us back into the park to get anything else. So I just got what I could in one load, and that was all I could say.
Let me also add that the police patrol guide itself, with regard to procedure number 218-01, sets forth the voucher system, quote, to record and process property coming into police custody. For example, it states that property must be properly tagged, packaged, or sealed, and clearly identified by invoice number. We submit that the NYPD did not comply with its own rules. If I can make one larger point, ironically, the retaking of Zuccotti Park was because OWS was not complying with the rules. And I just gave you an example of, in fact, the NYPD not complying with its rules. Any other questions? It's the patrol guide, procedure number, whatever I just stated. Okay, over there. Introduce yourself.
Myla Shapiro, the Huffington Post.
Welcome.
I've heard that a couple of days later there was another raid on the library, and can anyone kind of fill details in on what happened then?
Yeah, I can.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Laura Kolnick. I was there that night as well. Basically, as soon as we were allowed back into the park the night after the raid, we immediately started up new donations, and we were quickly back up to a couple hundred books. And then the night after that, we were informed by Brookfield Properties Security that the NYPD were going to come and remove the books in 15 minutes, unless we did so ourselves. And again, we took a stand for freedom of expression and everything that was discussed here. And they again took the books and clearly threw them in garbage bins and hauled them off.
And those haven't been recovered?
Were they recovered?
Yeah.
The next day I
Those are
dug
fortunately
through the
recovered.
trash bin the next day, and I pulled them out of trash, and there was still like food trash connected to them, and the security guard told me, like, oh god, that's disgusting, you know, that I recovered the books.
I think it can be elaborated on that a lot of people are asking questions about what we've done to preserve the collection, what we've done to save the library, but we were only afforded a very small amount of time to activate and get that done. And on the first night of the raid, all of us that don't actually occupy and sleep in the park were denied the ability to respond because they shut down the subways, they closed down the Brooklyn Bridge, they said you have 15 minutes, 10 minutes to remove thousands of books from the property. It's impossible, especially when it's barricaded off and people aren't allowed to re-enter once they leave the first time with their first load. It was a very foolish demand, and it would have been impossible for us to facilitate that even happening.
And I just want to add one more point to your question. The mere fact that the working journalists are asking us the details of what happened that evening or subsequent is telling in and of itself, because your rights were violated. You should have been able to be there. You should have been able to be either in the park or adjacent to the park so that you could have clear sight and you could hear what was going in the park. It is not adequate in a democracy for the government, especially the law enforcement arm of the government, to be telling the journalists who tell the public what actually happened. You are our eyes and ears, and it's tangential but connected. We would hope that you begin to speak up with regard to what happened that night, because we need you as well. Over here and over there.
Yes, my name is Timothy Poole. I'm with the other 99. Now, I understand that...
Let me deal with the media first, and then we'll come back.
My name is Nick Pinto. I'm a reporter for the Village Voice. You guys have spoken about the symbolic value of the books that have been lost. Have you calculated the monetary value of the books that have been lost?
Priceless.
We had many different signed editions. We also had fairly rare material on site related to the movement. I don't think that you could put a dollar value on what's been lost. The collection itself as a whole also had intrinsic value, I think, and I don't think you could attach a dollar amount.
That's why the claim is for replacement. We're not talking for Michael Bloomberg to write a check. That's not what this is all about. Okay, any other
Can we
questions?
get the other 99?
Yes, we'll come back.
I don't want to understate the value or the fact that the books are priceless, but is there an estimate on the value of the books that were destroyed?
When we say things that are priceless, I think what was actually going on is so many people have had so many things to say about the fact that our movement lacks focus, and people down here don't really know how to say what it is that they have to say, that they're making ridiculous demands. And I think that what this represented and what we were affording people was the literacy to articulate their criticism. So to place a dollar value on the physical books themselves would completely undervalue what it was that the library was affording people.
If I can add, sometimes questions are asked in certain parameters that are relevant. In this parameter, that's not a relevant question. And if we have to be in another zone or another parameter, perhaps the more technical people like us lawyers will answer that in legalese. But this is much larger than legalese. Okay. Sure.
And regarding the donation, these were donations obviously, but we have cataloged them all on a website called librarything.com. Our account is called OWS Library. Any of you can go there, and we've entered them via ISBN number, so you actually get the exact edition. So if anyone were to want to go through that catalog and look at the monetary value, you could, because we have reported it down to the edition.
One more. We'll get to you.
But the librarything.com website doesn't have all the media stuff the library had, such as CDs, DVDs, stuff like that. Nor does it have all the zines that were in the People's Library, a lot of which were one of a kind, that are handmade by people that are in solidarity with the movement or that were living in the park. And it doesn't have periodicals and stuff like that.
Or any of the ephemera that people were interested in.
Okay, back there, and then we'll come to you.
Hi, my name is Steve Bloom. I'm with celebstoner.com. I'm also the author of this book, Hot Culture, the A to Z Guide to Stoner Language and Life.
Promote other people.
No. This book was donated.
That's
why I'm particularly concerned. My book was destroyed. I want people to know. I'm one of the authors that signed the book and gave it, with great joy to the library. Can you, so anybody wants to ask me a question, I'm available.
Thank you.
But I missed a little bit of the early part of the discussion. Can you go back on the numbers? How many books were destroyed? Where did all the books go?
Okay,
What's missing?
I'll do that to you one-on-one. It's not fair for other people that are here in the beginning. Okay, thank you, Bill. Over here,
My
introduce
name's Karen McGee. I'm here from the Guardian and website. You said that you didn't want to, you wanted to make a point of Bloomberg, and you want the books back. But what do you want him to do, given that there's no, that the books are priceless, but there is a catalog? What do you want him to do?
I think what we said before, we want every book that's not here to be replaced. And we also said acknowledgement that what happened was wrong, and a guarantee that it will never happen again. And third, that a space be provided that recreates the People's Library. Okay, here and then here.
Adam Classfeld, Courthouse Youth Service. You were talking about avoiding the legalese before, but a question about the legalese. Is there any legal action coming up for the, and if so, when might we expect that?
Well, we're not going to entertain that hypothetical question now. Anyone in this room who knows myself, Virginia, and Oliver is standing here, what's Clint Eastwood's favorite line? Make my day. Okay, next.
Yeah, Lucas Reckhouse, WBAI News. We're wondering, do you have any idea as to where the order came from to destroy the books? Do you think that was directly Bloomberg's intent, or the police commissioner, or that just kind of happened spontaneously in the lower rank and file with the police and sanitation?
One of the reasons we asked the mayor to explain this to the citizenry of New York City is to find the answer to that. My answer to that would be personal speculation, which I'm not going to do at this point, but if you hang around afterwards, I'll give you my opinion. Over here, introduce yourself.
Joe, Occupy NYC. Where can the books be found now? Where can someone access the People's Library?
Currently, we do store most of the collection that we've rebuilt because most of what we have now has been donated again by individuals, authors, and publishers since the raid last Tuesday. We store it at the moment in the SIS facility, the storage facility on Broadway. Since we don't have that location in the park as we used to, we make books available in the park as someone is there to be with them. We've also gone mobile several times when there have been large actions throughout the city. For example, last Thursday's large action by Foley Square, and then the drummers action the other night uptown.
Okay, over here.
Observer. Could you check out books? Could you explain a little bit about how the library works and visitors
It was all based on an honor system. People would come down, you could take a book, you could read it freely. There was an expectation that it would be brought back and recontributed to the movement, but we know that a lot of people were coming down and just seeing what was taking place in the park, so we would just urge them to place the book in someone else's hands.
Okay.
But we did receive a lot of books back.
Before I go to round two, is there anyone else who hasn't spoken on round one? Okay, we'll go to round two.
I'd like to ask the People's Librarians about how books were selected and put into the People's Library, because I note that on the table here is the Holy Bible, letters from Allen Ginsberg, Michael Connolly. It's a very eclectic. It's a very eclectic group. Did you reject any books? What was your criteria? And if Mein Kampf had come along, would you have put it in?
If a book that we did not support came in, we would have still put it in, but we would have possibly put out some warning or some statement saying that we do not support it, but we're putting it here because we appreciate all points of views and we do not want to censor any ideas.
Librarians who worked in the People's Library, as well as anyone who came down to the library to read or borrow a book, were welcome to leave their commentary on the books. If I thought a book was not a very good book, or if I thought there was updated or inaccurate information in it, I would add a note that says, you know, we had a book, for example, about the morning after pill that was published before it became over the counter. So I wrote a note saying that actually, in such and such a time, this law was passed, it's now available over the counter. So not only was it the People's Librarians, but because it was everyone's library, any person could annotate the books we had, so that we would accept anything. But if someone had something to say about a particular book, they were perfectly welcome to say it.
So it wasn't about censorship, it was about the open conversation and people contributing how it was that they felt about what was being shared. I know that for myself, being involved as a library student, much of my education is specific to censorship, ethics, the philosophy of it all. And I think that we did an amazing job actually of supporting anything and everything that was contributed to the library.
As a professional librarian, I would add that libraries don't censor. Providing a space for all ideas is crucial. Letting an idea stand or fail on its own merits is fairly fundamental to the profession of librarianship, and that ethic was embodied in this library too.
All right, I basically will take one more question and then we'll be here for informal one. Sure.
Yes, my name is Mickey McGee. I'm a professor at Fordham University, and my question is,
Has Anthony Marks, the president of the New York Public Library, commented or made any statement regarding the destruction of your library?
It's possible right after this we might be paying a visit over there.
The president of the ALA, though, published a statement condemning the destruction of Maui Raphael.
Right, and the statement is over there. And although we didn't want to be legalese, a colleague of mine, Gideon Oliver from the National Lawyers Guild, has done tremendous work over the last 2 months, is here, and to invoke the one legal privilege I'll have, I'd like Gideon to do the summation.
My name is, thank you very much, my name is Gideon Oliver. I'm the president of the New York City chapter of the National Lawyers Guild. I'm sorry that I was so late. I just want to say very briefly, in summation, that the after midnight raid, stormtrooper type raid on the park was not only illegal but unconscionable. And what happened and what the city did to the People's Library and a great deal of other property in the park was also illegal and unconscionable. And the National Lawyers Guild New York City chapter stands behind the demands that have been made today to make the People's Library whole again, and eagerly await the city, what we hope will be the city's prompt and responsible response, apology, and other corrective action.
Do you know if people got their computers back that were taken out at the same time?
Yeah, we can speak to that. Ours were smashed.
As far as I know, having spoken to other people who had computers in the park, and as far as seeing the computers that we had about half a dozen, I've yet to see a computer come out of sanitation that wasn't completely destroyed.
I was actually the one who pulled the computers out of the box. All the computers were put together at sanitation, and every single one of them was smashed. I don't know the mechanism by which they were smashed, but they were not just broken, but destroyed.
And what we want is a public explanation and answers to the question we've raised, and some of you have raised. We will not rest until that happens. You cannot move forward without going back and addressing what happened on the night, the morning, and the afternoon of November 15, 2011. Thank you for coming, and again, happy Thanksgiving. We want to do one-on-ones. Patience versus a crowded room, and we will accommodate all of you. Thank you. Have a good
day. All right, so I'm gonna try and get an interview, one-on-one, with those who were requested for me to get an interview with.
I was like, what do you guys want to do?
Live stream, we love you. Live stream.
They love live stream.
Oh, you're live stream.
Ustream.
Ustream.
I had to change it.
Yes, I'm bringing an announcement from the all-city student occupation, all-city student occupation, the students of New York City public and private universities and colleges, in solidarity with the 99%, the Occupy Wall Street movement, labor, and all those dispossessed by our economic and political system, on November the 17th, occupied the new school building at 95th Avenue, which remains occupied 7 days today. It is our belief that new school president Van Zandt, along with faculty members and a recruited fragment of the student body, hijacked last night's General Assembly, resulting in a stacked vote, the purpose of which was to undermine the movement. New York Fire Department fire marshals were used as instruments of legal pressure. However, we remain in accordance with fire code regulations. Presently, the occupation persists under imminent threat of eviction. We, the occupiers, are asking for solidarity, and we invite all to join us in this open occupation. In solidarity, 95th Avenue, the new school.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
For live stream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you later about 7 o'clock.
I'll give you my new number.
Oh, okay.
I wanted. They're actually asking for you to give a statement. I don't know.
Statement specifically to
Just
what?
addressing how you feel about this, I suppose.
About this moment right here?
Just everything. Just say what you want to say.
Well, I can start by saying that this whole thing actually has been pretty awesome. Just being involved in terms of being a student has actually engaged me so much with what it is that I'm learning, because every single day I go to school, I have an experience, there's things that I can come immediately in and just put into direct action, so it's been cool. I think that in terms of what's happening with libraries around the nation and what's happening just specifically with myself stepping into it, and it's hard to put into words what I'm seeing. I definitely see that previous to me coming here and not being politically affiliated, what I do see is that we definitely need some media reform. I think that we've been missing a lot of coverage. I think that libraries and consortiums of ideas are being really undersold in what is now a very connected and a very digital time. This is the era of information. And I think that what's happening and what we're seeing happen is that governments that were once in control and could have conversations with themselves and were elected officials are now having their ability to communicate wrestled from them by us, because we all have conversations with each other and we're all sharing and we're all engaging and we're taking part in things like this. And I think that it's challenging to the status quo. It's definitely it contests authority in terms of like we're all now a part of the conversation. And I think that's awesome to be involved in at this level and to see where it is that I am, just myself, professionally, pre-professionally, and where it is that I'm headed. I think that there's no better place for me to be.
Cool. And do you want to give out a Twitter or anything? They're asking.
A Twitter? Oh, at DP Norton, Daniel Patrick Norton.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, can I just get your full name?
Daniel.
Okay, you're right.
All right.
I'm Italian public figure.
What's your last name? Norton. Like the end of it.
So let's get in and get one more before we sort of squeeze out of here. I want to talk to the Bill.
You know what? My wife said Daniel Norton.
But if you,
I would say close to.
but it was like 5,500. It was 5,500 before.
No, it was after.
Right, it was 5,500 before. But if you look now and subtract, that would be the number.
Yeah. Have we actually done this catalog?
We've done a fair amount.
I think it's fair to say.
So this particular video will be archived and better databased for ease of access. Want to speak for the people viewing? Just however you feel or what you want to talk about in particular.
I'm still disgusted and outraged about what happened the whole night of the eviction. Because I work at the People's Library, I've been living there for the last 6 weeks. To see this tremendous collection of books thrown in the garbage and brought over to sanitation, and then only to be able to recover a small fraction of those books really breaks my heart. I'm an educator. I believe in this sort of the sanctity of books, the value of free access to information and knowledge. And part of my job at the People's Library was teaching, talking to people, educating, and turning people on to new books, and seeing the joy on their faces when they brought books back. That was all sort of brought to a screeching halt the night of the eviction, but fortunately we've been able to continue to receive donations and go out on the marches and rallies with the People's Library and mobile units. The joy I've seen on people's faces, the excitement, but also this sort of outrage and anger from people who've approached us when we're out on the street has been very heartening. It shows that the People's Library has support not just from people who are living in the park, but from people all over the community, and actually all throughout the world. We had visitors. So.
Awesome, thank you. And do you have like a Twitter you'd want to give out to anybody, or you would rather not?
My personal, just I don't really have I don't do Twitter or Facebook, any of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sort of scared of it. But my email is scobill@gmail.com.
SCOBILL@gmail?
Exactly.
Okay, hopefully that after. Alright, thanks a lot, I appreciate it. Does anybody on the chat have a request for an interview before we move on?
I'm a poet.
Okay, I'm gonna sneeze out this
I
way.
am too. I'm a poet. So, fellow walker, let me give you my card.
Excuse me? I'm gonna come out here and just...
all the marches. Okay, I lead all the marches. Can you write I'm just going to fill in a little.
So, that was the press conference to address the destruction of the Occupy Wall Street Library you all just watched. We had a few speakers, and we're just here at 260 Madison on the 20th floor.
We're talking about property.
So we're going to archive this video in a way that will allow for ease of access so that everyone can return to it and see it once more. So I'm going to do that right away. Thanks for tuning in and stay with us. You can follow me for more information at Timcast on Twitter, at TIMCAST, and our website, wearetheother99.com. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and bearing witness to the discussion that took place. And again, we will have it databased and available. Take care.
Let's go another one anyway.